Hello everyone, my name is Saib and welcome to another episode. In this episode we're just going to talk about transformation and all of the transformation methods that we can use in Canvas in order to rotate or scale or simply translate or just shift our canvas or the elements in our canvas. You should know that Canvas is different than styling like in the CSS file, in which we can target a specific element in our web page. If you're familiar with web development, you know that if in CSS, for instance, we can apply transformation to a certain element in our web page, but in Canvas, there's the concept of elements is not recognized by the Canvas API. So everything we're gonna do, or in every transformation method we will apply, will be applied to all of our canvas, simply this whole area. And but I'm going to tell you exactly how we can apply it to certain shapes or certain texts, and how we can reset the transformation to usual and then use it again. We're going to go all over everything in this episode. Okay, so simply let's start by looking into the three transformation methods, and at the end I'm going to tell you exactly how we can use the transformation matrix in order to, just by calling one method which is called the set transform, which sets the transformation matrix that has all of the customization for the three methods that we're going to use. So the first one, let's talk about the translate. So simply if I just filled erect, for instance, see that filled erect. Okay, let's choose an x and y coordinates for the location of our rect, and then let's specify the width and height, simply like that. Now we filled erect. It's supposed to show in this. Alright, so save. Okay, let me just begin path. Okay, just put it again. Okay, like that. I think now we can see that this actually showed up. Okay, let's say that I want to use the translate method, in which the translate method is used to shift our canvas, our whole canvas, as I said, not just certain element, to either vertically or horizontally, like that. So let's call the translate method simply like that. If we just say translate by calling the context, you can see that it takes two arguments. Now those are in pixels, and they specify how much exactly we should shift our canvas, either horizontally or vertically, for the y coordinates. So yeah, let's say that I want to shift this 50 pixels by 450 pixels for both the vertical and horizontal. Now we can see that our rectangle got shifted to the right, since we shifted 50 pixels vertically and 50 pixels horizontally. So you can see now that the rect went down to the right that way. Now let's say that I want to draw another rectangle that starts at 0, 0 for the x and y, to see how exactly this our canvas area just got shifted down. So let's say that I want to specify another begin path for a new shape, and I can just specify a fill style to distinguish this from the other. I can just say red, then let's fill the earth. Okay, 0, 0 is supposed to be on the top left, as we said. If we have the normal transformation methods or defaults for all of them. So simply I can just say 100 by 100. Now we can see that this is exactly the 0 and 0 in our new canvas, because we shifted 50 pixels vertically and horizontally that way. So yeah, this is the new 0, 0 now for the x and y. Okay, so simply that's translate. We use it to shift our canvas. Let's talk about now rotation. Let's apply rotation with text in order to actually see just how the text we can rotate the text. So simply if we erased everything, save. Okay, clear our canvas. Now let's specify a font, for instance. Let's specify the size and the font family. We'll go with the comic one, and then let's fill text that way. Okay, so let's say that I want to change canvas, and then let's specify the x and y for the location of our text. Simply I'm just going to go with a 200 and 250. Now we can see this canvas text. We have an episode for texts. If you haven't checked that one, I'm gonna leave that one up in the cards. So yeah, Now let's try to actually rotate this one using the rotate transformation method. So if I call the context and I simply call rotate, this is the one. Okay, now we should know you should know by now that the angles are in radians. That's what we did in the arc method. So if I want to convert from a degree to radians, simply I can just multiply the degree by over 180, math by over 180. So let's say that I want to rotate this one by 30 degrees. I can just say 30 multiplied by math dot by over 180. Simple mathematics. Okay, now this canvas got rotated, not the text exactly. Our whole canvas got rotated by 30 degrees. If I want to increase the rotation, simply I can go for 150. I can go that way. You can see what exactly happened. If I went 90 degrees, for instance, we can see that our canvas is actually, it got rotated, but now it's outside of our canvas area. So simply if I translated this now, we can use the translate with the rotate, so we can actually have this text appear in our canvas. So simply I can just use the translate method like that. I can just, now we want to translate horizontally, not vertically, because the text is not actually in the area that we actually can see now. So simply let's say that I want to translate this by 200, for instance, and I'm going to keep the vertical that way. So let's increase that one to 350. We can see now that our canvas it's rotated by 90 degrees, but we translated our canvas in order to actually see this. Let's decrease this one. We can have this, that way. We can translate the vertically also by just changing the y. Say 40, for instance. You can see go down. You can go minus. It can take minus negative values. Any of the transformation methods can take negative values. Okay, so lastly we have the scale one, and simply let's apply this with a rect, for instance. So let's fill another rect. Okay, let's say I want this one to be 250 and 250. Okay, now we have this rect. Now if I want to scale this one, our whole canvas will be scaled. So you're gonna see that this rectangle will be stretched, either scaled up or down. So simply if I call scale takes two arguments, for the vertical scale and for the horizontal one and the vertical one. So simply if I want to scale this rectangle down, or our whole canvas, or like shrink this one, I can simply choose a value between 0 and 1. So if I want to shrink this one horizontally, I can just say 0.8, and I can keep the default for the vertical by y. We can see now that this rectangle got shrinked, I think. So yeah, if you want to just scale that one up, I can just choose the value more than 1 that goes that way. Can specify for this one as well. We can see how we can play with our whole canvas with all of the elements, even if we have any other element in this. So let's say another fill rect, say 100 and 100. Let's just say 200, 250. You're gonna see now this is not how supposed this rect should be. So if I just remove the scale and just saved, you can see how the initial rectangle should be. So yeah, this is everything about the three transformation methods. Okay, now let's talk about how we can apply them to a certain element and just use another transformation settings for another shape or another text. So let's say that I want to have this text. So if I just filled text and I just said canvas, and simply I can just choose the X and Y for the location and go to 100 and 150. Okay, let's specify the font. I can just say 60 pixels, and I can just say Arial. Okay, so let's rotate that one simply by calling the rotate. And let's rotate this one by 30 degrees simply by multiplying this by over 180, so that it's converted from degrees to radians, as I said. Now if anything that I draw after this rotate transformation will be applied to all of if I just inserted any new shape or anything, the rotation will be applied to it. So let's say that I want to fill this rect, and so 50 and 50. I can just give it a 100 20 and 150. Okay, we can see that even the rectangle got rotated. So simply, let's say that I want this rectangle to be drawn in the normal transformation defaults. Simply, I can just call the context and I can just say reset transform. This is the simplest way to actually play with the elements. So I applied the rotation to this text, and then I reset the transformation for the new shape. So simply that means I applied the transformation only for this text. The same goes for any other shape. So let's say that if I want to fill another, say, new begin path for the circle. If I want to draw a circle in here, I can just call the arc method, and I can say 100, let's go to 300, and we can go to 300 for the y. Now for the radius, let's say 50. Now if I want a full circle, I can specify this from 0 to 2 pi, which will give us a 360 degrees, a full circle. So let's say anti-clockwise to 1, and then let's just fill this specified path to actually see that one. Okay, let's increase the x one so we can actually have this circle. Let's say that I want to scale that one, only this circle, so I can just call the scale again, and I can scale this down just simply by calling the for the horizontal scale I can just say 0.8, and I'll keep the vertical one. We can see that the only element that has this scale applied to is the circle, since we called this one after those two, and we set the transform for the rectangle. So yeah, but if I applied this one at first, you can see that the scale is going to be applied to all of them except the rectangle in which I reset the transformation for. So if I reset the transform for the canvas, in which is the text, you can see now that the only element that has this scale one is only the circle that way. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, if I want to just apply a transformation method to a certain shape, I have to use reset transform, in which resets everything back to default, and I can just go again and apply all of the other transformation methods to any shape. And lastly, I want to talk about the transformation matrix, in which simply one method that we can use in order to apply or customize the three transformation methods: the scale and the translate and the rotation or the skewing in the transform matrix. So yeah, let's just try to apply that one. If you went to md and set transform, you set canvas to actually see, try to visualize the matrix, in which is this one. So this method, the set transform, takes 6 arguments that specifies the 3 transformation methods that we talked about before, in which there's the translate, the scale, and the skewing for the rotation. So you can see now that A, in which is the first element or the first attribute in the set transform, is the horizontal scaling, or simply the X scaling. So let's say that I want to call this set transform method. You can see now that it takes 6 arguments, like as we said, and then B is gonna be simply the vertical skewing, or this the X one, the Y, sorry. So yeah, let's try to apply this one and see exactly what happens. So if I said I want the scaling to be same as default, so I apply 1 to it, either for the horizontal one and vertical one, in which is the vertical one is simply the D1. So yeah, say 1. Now for the skewing, I can just say 0.2, 0.8 for the vertical skewing, horizontal and vertical one. I can just say 1 for the vertical scaling, because I want them to be default, no scaling will be applied. And lastly, for the translation, I want this one to be 0, 0. I want to keep the default for those. Okay, now let's try to draw a circle, for instance. You can just say 200 and 200, just say 50. 0 to math dot by divided by 2, same as usual. And then I can just fill the circle that way. Now you can see now that we have this, because the only thing that we changed in the transformation matrix is the skewing for the rotation, because the 1 and 1 are the default scaling for the X and Y, vertically and horizontally. horizontally and vertically that way. And the last two for the translating, if I want to shift this canvas either to either horizontally or vertically, the only thing that we changed is the skewing for the X and Y, in which specifies the rotation of our canvas that way. So yeah, we can apply each transformation method individually, and we can apply them with this transform matrix simply that way. So yeah, I know this can be a bit of hard to deal with, but I think with practice you can actually be familiar with this methods and how we can play with this one and actually make like good transformations with it. So yeah, simply that's everything you need to know about transformation. You can go back to MDN if you want to look into the details, or maybe you can refer to the two books that I left in the first episode as a reference. So yeah, simply that's everything in this episode, and I'll see you in the next one.